Hello, hello. I hope you guys are having a good day. Hello, Sil. Come on in. Hi. Hi, Dank. Hi, Danielle. Hello, hello. It is almost 7 o'clock, so we'll begin here in just a few minutes. We're just waiting for a few people to show or not show, either way. Hello, Waters. Hello, Gail. Dank, this right now we're doing only boy in the box stuff today, but we'll get into that. But that's definitely a good question to ask maybe under my Eddie Guerrero video. I'm a little bit low energy today. It's been a tough week. It's been a very tough week. I did comment on there too. Okay, good to know. I'll look back when I'm on the WWE side of things. Yes, Landon is here too. He's just in the background. I hope Greta and them make it with the aid. The communication has been cut off. It is so difficult to watch the stuff going on in LA. Like, I get good vibes in the back of my mind, which I said I'll make a video for. I have the video. I just have it in my drafts. I'll post it after I'm done this. But, oh, it's intense to watch for sure. It's scary. No, Angie, not me. Don't provide friend requests. I don't send messages to anyone. Those are fake accounts, FYI. I did hear about Phoebe passing away. So sad. Alrighty, so today we are going to be talking about the mystery of the boy in the box. The boy in the box. It is an older case. It's been out. This happened in the 50s. So I wanted to start really old school, and then I do want to work on doing a few old cases live with you guys here, and then eventually we'll move into the new stuff if I'm comfortable doing so. But I wanted to give it a go with one of the oldest cases that I know of, and people have been asking me to cover this for years, and I had a hard time. When they initially brought me this case, there was no identification with him, so I kind of put it in my will not do box. But then since then, his identification has come forward, so it's easy to try to channel that way. So I was able to do that. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. And if you guys have questions, so Landon is going to read out the questions if it pertains to this case. So I will not be doing anything other than this that pertains to this case today. Okay, guys? Alrighty, yay! Now let's get to the boy in the box. Woot woot, yay! Okay. So, obviously, I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of the boy in the box case, but I'm going to talk about it here just to give you guys a couple of details, and then we'll talk about some conspiracies, and then we'll talk about my visions on the case as well, okay? Alrighty, so as stated, we're covering the boy in the box. He was actually a young boy found deceased in 1957. Can you believe it? It's been almost 80 years? It's crazy.
Hey, Miss DIY.
Hello. And that was in Philadelphia. And obviously this case is one of America's most haunting cold cases. Although there have been the recent developments with the DNA proving that, he was a person, which is a huge development. And I do believe that there will be more significant developments as we go along. But we're going to talk about a couple of these things here. So first and foremost, his name was Joseph Augustus Zarelli. And they found that through the DNA evidence. And the date that he was actually found was, thank you for the dinos, February 25th, 1957. So long ago, obviously. And he was actually in the Fox Chase neighborhood. Now, here's the strange parts about him being found. So he was found in a cardboard box. He was naked. He was malnourished, with signs of obviously physical trauma and surgical scars, which he hasn't given me those details yet. So we'll come back to that later. And at the time that they found him, they thought him to be between the ages of 3 and 9. But because he was so malnourished, they had a hard time identifying how old he was. Because that's a pretty big gap between 3 and 9. So he's small for a 9-year-old or big for a 3-year-old, you know. But he turned out to be actually about 4 years old approximately. At the time, he was found in a J.C. Penney bassinet box is kind of like what he was found in. And he was also wrapped in a plaid blanket that was placed inside, which does show a little remorse. But then again, the naked side of things shows not remorse, like the remorseful side. You know what I mean? Like, so in my mind, I automatically see two conflicting profiles here. Like one person who was more loving and nurturing, and whilst the other one was not so much. And it was like that blanket was thrown in there as a last stitch attempt to show some sort of mercy in a sense.
Yeah, mercy, remorse.
Yeah.
Hello, RMCD.
Now, the other thing that was found interesting was his hair appeared to have been cut recently as well. And they think that it was post-mortem. And I agree. I think his hair was cut post-mortem, again, with that more emotional bond of somebody doing something kind as a gesture for him, because it probably looked not so nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hello, guys. Thank you so much. Now, those are the facts involved with the case as of the time that they found him. I also want to point out that a 26-year-old had actually found him first, and he was laying illegal traps for animals, and he was contemplating on going to the authority about what he had found. So much so that he waited a full day. I don't believe that it was a full day. I think he found him possibly a few weeks prior. Mm-hmm. So I think there was a lie involved in that as well. So that's another thing I want to point out.
So guys, for everybody coming in, we are only talking about the boy in the box case. If you guys have any other cases you would want get done, you can go put that on another video that is in relation to missing person cases. But I will tell everybody that we have 800 cases already to go through. So
yes, guys. So
we have tons.
Right. This is our first live unsolved case, which is why we started with the boy in the box. One of the oldest ones. Yes, never heard of it. Highly recommend it. I'll show you guys I'm going to make a smaller video just for those who've missed the live, and also uploading this to YouTube. But I'll show the picture of him as well, because I think it's important. But anyways, the police, the media side of things actually went pretty crazy. So they were trying to first appeal to anyone to see hey, is this your kid? We need to figure it out. Mm-hmm. Then they started sending photos of the body found out in the newspaper and in flyers, and not just in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, throughout the entire country. So they were freaking people out pretty early on to try to see if somebody would say something, which was pretty crazy back then. People were mortified by these photos and disturbed, which is what they wanted. They wanted to, make those people feel something, right? But anyways, so we ended up finding out that his real name, like I said, was Joseph. But when I spoke to him directly, he preferred the name Joey. But then again, it's kind of sad because he didn't even really ever, he was only 4 when he died, right? And still that very young mindset, but he didn't really ever get called by his name at all. So it's like a foreign concept for him. He doesn't have any attachment to any name, but Joey was probably the most comfortable he felt, because he felt like Joseph was too much of a masculine man, and he still comes to me in a 4-year-old frame. And to be fair and honest, it's pretty traumatizing. When we die, normally we try to be the best version of ourselves. We can change ourselves to look like anything, but to be recognizable to our family and friends, we tend to stick with what we had. But, maybe we'll be a skinnier version of ourselves, or our color of our hair will be different, or our eyebrows will be different. Like things that we didn't necessarily like about ourselves, we might enhance a bit. It's like heavenly plastic surgery, if you will. But with him, he comes through still very much so the malnourished young boy that he was. And it's pretty crazy to me, but he's a very, like, even on the other side, a very lethargic looking spirit. It's kind of really sad. But anyways, going into a little bit more of the case here, let's talk about the conspiracies surrounding this case, and then we'll talk about my visions on it, even though I've kind of given you a few here. But anyways, ironically enough, so a psychic actually led the police to a foster home run by this person, Arthur and Catherine Nicoletti. That they also had the similar blankets in their home with the plaid. So they were like, here's a suspicious thing. And a psychic, can you imagine? I couldn't imagine being someone to do that. I would love to do that. But anyways, Catherine's stepdaughter, Anne Marie, reportedly told the police that she had a baby out of wedlock, and the boy may have been hidden due to shame. Now, although that story is very true, and I believe Arthur was the father there, so, right? So I definitely agree with that story, but this was not that child. So, which would make sense, but the child may have been abused and accidentally died. I honestly think that this child was also unalived at that point. So that's another kid that went missing that no one knew about. Happened a lot in the 50s. A lot, actually. A lot of different centuries, but the 50s was pretty significant for that a lot. Because there was a lot of shame in wedlock. Not like it is now. I mean, there's still people that judge people for it, but it's not like... It's
more accepted
right,
than it is back then.
Exactly. Although we're heading backwards. But anyways, the home was in fact searched, and there was no definitive evidence ever connected to them. So I agree. I don't feel like there was any connection to that case whatsoever. But the psychic, I'll say that psychic found a boy that was missing, and they never looked into that situation further, and they definitely should have. So I'll give the psychic that one. Okay, then there was another conspiracy, which was a circus theory. And because people back in the day, like, they considered the carnival people, like, you weren't on the map. You were just, there was problems with you, so you got dumped onto the circus, right? So, like, they looked at that like, oh, maybe that's why there was no identification in the system and all that stuff. And, there was a big theory on that. Maybe that he had gotten sold to the circus to, like, work in the circus, all that stuff. But again, definitely not a conspiracy that is accurate whatsoever. I don't feel that, period. He didn't show me that, period. The third one, which I believe is the most accurate one, is in relation to an underground adoption. Now, this theory holds because there were, again, because of the illegitimate children, so many illegal adoptions and, abuse, and people no longer wanting children and just handing them off to, aunts and uncles that can't have any children, because there wasn't really protection back then. You know what I'm saying? So they would hand off their children instead of stopping that. Anyways, but although that does make a lot of sense, and that is kind of what happened, there's like more of like a family dynamic cover up here. I mean, obviously, you have a kid, he shows up on TV in the newspapers and you don't share any of that information, ding, 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 right? Then, more recently, in the early 2000s, this woman by the name of M, she originally went by M, now she goes by, or went by Martha later on. They finally gave her name up. I don't know if she's still alive or not. But anyways, she actually claimed that her mother had bought a boy and abused him. And she said that he vomited baked beans and was beaten and died. Now, the reason they held on to this so heavily is because when they found him, they found baked beans in his stomach. So they were like, no one knows about that. So it matched the story. Obviously, the identification of the woman has never really come forward, but I don't believe that's going to be true forever. I do feel like this story, this woman's information is going to come out here soon. So, yeah, like I said, I don't think she's still alive, but if she is, all this is going to be coming out. Now, when we found out,
are you taking questions now?
What do you got question wise?
This person said, is he not being taken care of on the other side? Did no one receive him?
I'll get to that question here in a moment because I'm going to answer that when we talk to him directly because he had a lot to say. But anyways, so let's fast forward to 2022 for a quick moment. We identified him and we identified his parents. Father's name was Augustus John Zarelli, and then Mary Elizabeth Plunkett was the mom. Obviously, both are dead. But Joseph does have some living half-siblings around, and there's not a lot of information out on the internet about that. But what I feel is that they are kind of like kept in the dark about this because this child, Joey, was born out of wedlock and was like hidden from the world. So they wouldn't have any more information because they're younger than him, so they weren't around when he was going through his stuff. So they don't really have much information, I believe. Okay. Now, yeah, obviously the parents are dead. Okay. Now we're going to talk to Joe. Now we're going to talk about Joey directly. Okay. So just an FYI, when I tried to channel him, it was like barely a pulse, like barely an energy. He was a hard spirit to latch onto because he doesn't have a lot of social interaction. And because he hasn't crossed over yet, and he doesn't want to, it's very difficult to pull information from him. It took me a full week to today, actually, to get the information. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. But anyways, basically, from the very beginning, the way he showed me his story was of like a 2-year-old mindset between 2 and 4, because that's kind of when the memories came in, so he doesn't have a memory from before. But the biggest thing he showed me was a woman's face, brown hair, beautiful eyes, constantly smiling at him and happy. And this woman's face continued to keep being there, but her facial expressions and her demeanor changed over time. So she went from this like very happy mom to like this very angry, relying on medication and alcohol energy as well. And from what I get from him was like, so dad was never in the picture. Like he was never there. He didn't even really have although he lived in a house with his grandfather, his grandmother, and maybe like aunts and uncles, and obviously mom, but he never ever once saw this grandfather ever. So not until the last day, but I'll explain that in a minute. So that was the thing he showed me. And then kind of like mom deteriorating in a sense. I feel like she had postpartum. That's kind of the vibe I'm picking up on. But it looks like, in addition to that, she was being abused by, oh, thank you guys so much, being abused, being treated unfairly by, everyone in the home. Dad was very angry about this situation. There was a lot of shame brought on the family. She wasn't allowed to leave with this kid. This kid had to be kept in the house, locked up. She gave birth in the house. They were basically hiding this baby, and she thought she would be able to do it. And I think that the parents were like, no, we're not doing this. So they would leave this kid in the house from 0 age until about 2.5, and just leave him locked up in another form of a box, not necessarily the box he was found, but in a cage per se, is kind of the vibe I'm picking up on. Although it wasn't jagged and dangerous, it's still not good, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, they would leave the child at home and go to church, and this happened all the time. And then he started getting bigger, so that was the problem. And from what he shows me, that was the first time he had ever seen this grandfather figure, was when he was being taken away from his family. Now, I believe he was probably taken around 2.5 to 3 years old. Threw him in the car. The kid looked out the window to look back and never saw any of these family members ever again. Now, from here is where it gets really crazy. So this man dropped this child off to a relative, and he didn't give the impression of the child's age. He gave the impression that he would be a useful hand to this family, but meanwhile he was still a baby, basically, you know what I mean? Not even, he was 2.5, 3. Yeah, so
he's still
right
in diapers, basically.
Right, exactly. And totally neglected, fed and taken care of in that way, but totally neglected. Anyways, which also pissed off the other family that took him on, and I feel like he got abused there as well. I don't know what happened to him. He hasn't shown me the extent of it. I do know that the surgical side of things did not happen in this household, but basically that family ended up taking him to this other family, which is where I believe the connection to that girl, Margaret. Yeah, Margaret. Yeah. Believe it was the connection to her, is that's when the family got him. And he doesn't show me what happened in that household in the sense of what they did to him, but it was pretty bad. Basically they used him for taking care of animal stuff, farmhand is kind of the vibe I pick up on. And you can only imagine a 3-year-old doing farmhand work, you know what I'm saying?
And with the tools and stuff back then.
Right, and he wasn't the only one either. There were at least 6 or 7 other children, but most of them were a little older. But working with cattle and hay and hurting himself all the time. They would only get fed if they did what they were supposed to do. They were kept, I think, in a barn. I believe that he also got locked up at night because he would wander, and it's so bad, this poor kid. But basically he was found dead because I feel like people were abusing him. Thankfully not in the SA way. I mean, it's bad enough, but that at least was not happening. But this child was basically a dumping ground. Now, the woman in that house did have a connection to him, which is where the blanket and the haircut came from. So, but she also beat him as well. So, for me, that entire household, his family and the one he had before in the middle, are all held accountable here. And I do believe that these details of this case will come out. But I feel like we're still a few years away from that happening. But it's it's pretty sad. I know it is. When channeling him, like, he's very withdrawn, and he has this longing for acknowledgement. He wants people, like, he wants to be acknowledged by someone who's passed on, connected to him. And that's what he's waiting for. He refuses to go on the other side until that happens. I've tried to talk to him. I've even tried to bring, like, kids like kid energies, you know, so like, you know, like Harmony Montgomery, you know, likes to come in, and Kaylee Anthony, you know, kids like that, but he's not interested in any of that. He just wants a family member to acknowledge him, which is so heartbreaking. He's not in pain or anything like that. He's just not ready to go. But it's good that we at least got this information, and I'm hoping it kind of pushes along the line. There are a few family members that I believe will acknowledge him when it's their time, but he's gonna wait until that point. What else did I want to say on this? Like, he just never had love. He just wanted affection, and he still holds on to, like, his mom's energy, even though she, like, passed away, like, a long time ago, but he still, like, hopes that she'll come for him. But from what I picked up psychically, it's almost like she had PTSD and post-traumatic stress disorder, but also, like, the baby blues. There was something else going on too. She might have been getting, like, SA'd on her end too, but totally checked out. I think she died very, very, very early. Like, I don't know 100%, but I keep seeing scars surrounding that, and she refuses to talk to me. It is. It's a sad, sad case, and it is. Like, he's not alone on the other side. Like, there are spirits around him, but he's just not ready to go to the other side. So guys, so for those of you asking about bookings, my bookings are on my website. You'd have to check my availability. I have, I think Wednesday is my earliest appointment time, so go check that out there. But anyways, let's talk about the items as well. So he did want to point out too that there was, like, a wooden box. So it's kind of ironic that they put him in this, like, JCPenney box, but there was also another box that he was in. And I think that's where he, like, slept in this, like, crate thing. And I think that's how they found him. So sad.
Yeah, that is the, like, saddest thing.
Right.
Poor kid.
No, and he was only 4 years old, right? Like, he didn't get to celebrate a birthday or nothing. Like, it's just
not
sad.
one that he can remember.
No.
Like, he's just a baby, basically.
And even that guy, the 26-year-old, like, the college student who was checking the muskrat traps in that area at the time. So there's something, his name is Frederick. There's something just shady about him too. I don't trust him at all. I feel like he's kind of one of those people that take these animals and, like, could potentially, although he uses them for other reasons, but I feel like he hurts and harms animals too. So it wouldn't surprise me if the child was, like, let's say alive, would have done something to him too. You know what I mean? Alrighty. But yeah, so that is what I see from the boy in the box. Now, did you guys have any questions? Is he alone on the other side? So no, he's definitely not alone on the other side. There's a lot of spirits there with him. He's just not ready to cross over yet. He does have a lot of comfort. There are a lot of people with him. When children die, so there is, like, an angel that kind of prevents children from physical pain and kind of helping them through that if there is some sort of physical pain. So he had his, like, angel kind of guide him out of there before he died, and then he just kind of stuck with her with that, with not going to the other side. So she's tried. There's so many people trying, but until we get what we want, we can't cross over. And most of us can, but, like, I mean, he was kind of screwed from the very beginning.
He was just a baby he doesn't even understand. Hope says, Did he mention what family member?
About which?
That's all. Hope, can you elaborate a little bit?
Oh, of who he wants to connect with. He wants his
maybe.
mom, but he doesn't, as long as it's somebody that acknowledges him on the other side, family-wise.
Why won't his mom claim him now?
So his mom won't claim him now because she died. Well, now that she's dead, but there's like shame in her too. I don't know what her deal is. I tried to channel her, but she has zero interest. Like, I want to just give this kid a chance, right? Like, but I think she just has a lot of guilt. She probably hasn't crossed over either, right? Because it probably haunts her, and she might still be stuck in that realm as well.
So Swedish Plume, just going to let you know, you can't say those words. They will not allow those words. You have to say unalive.
Yeah.
So you can't say that. But they want to know how he was. They asked if you mentioned how he was unalive, which I think you did.
Yeah, he was found in a box.
And how old the case was.
Sorry. From what I gather, it was completely like starvation is how he died. Although he did have the baked beans in his stomach, malnourishment, like there was like a whole thing. It's like his heart and everything just stopped working. His kidneys stopped working. He stopped going to the washroom. Like, the poor kid. Like, it was just pure and utter neglect.
Yeah, pretty much malnourishment.
Yeah. And then, like, there was a surgical procedure done on him, which he hasn't even talked to me about it, but I don't even know what that would entail. Definitely not something on the stomach, because he kept pointing like he was hungry. He was hungry. He was hungry.
Hello, good afternoon.
I'm wondering, did the person who left the blanket also give them baked beans? I believe so. No, sorry. The baked beans were like straight from like a can that was left outside that they left for all of the children that they had there. So no, it was him feeding himself the baked beans. The blanket was the how do I say this? The adoptive mother. He does know how he passed away, but he's kind of shied away from sharing all of the details. But what I did see was like straight up malnourishment and like all of his organs just shutting down from that. He showed me that he was in his little cell thing for like 3 days, like not feeling well.
How old is this case? It's old, right?
It's from 1957. It's very old.
And I don't think there is a documentary. We did not see no documentary on it.
No documentary. This is just one of America's oldest unsolved cases.
Mm-hmm. They got some DNA back in like 2022. They were able to identify who it was. A lot of people have asked us in the past, like, if we could identify him. And Liz said, unfortunately, the little boy at that time, before the DNA came out, that he didn't know who he was, like, because he was so little, and she couldn't connect nothing to him to find out who he was.
Even the way he describes his family, like, he just shows me like this beautiful woman, and like he would just be in awe of her. That was his like first memory, and that's his mom, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then his last memory of them is his grandfather, which was a very, 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 very bad man. But surgery, yes, surgical procedure. I know that the surgical procedure did not happen in house 1 or house 2, but definitely the third home. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did something to test. I don't even know, like, to test something out. It doesn't make sense. I agree with you. It's like, it's a confusing bit of the situation, but yeah, there was a surgical procedure as well done. Something minor. Maybe he got like an appendix taken out, like somebody just did it. Yeah, kid's never been to a hospital, never
kidneys,
once. Yeah.
Like for somebody. Krista, she will probably like cut this video in the sense of edit it and then post it later for you to watch.
So yes, I am going to be taking this video probably once it downloads on my phone over to YouTube, and yeah, I'll try to edit out and just make it a little shorter for you guys.
You know, back then, and unfortunately,
it could have very well been exploratory. He doesn't
black market stuff like back then. Kid was
true.
That's why I said like kidneys took anything from him that they can take.
That could be why he's not talking about it. Like I said, he's a very difficult baby to get in touch with. Like, he doesn't have that much experience in life, like living experience, and he's a very he has trust issues, which I understand. So for me, I'm going to continue to keep trying to channel him, and I'll see if I can get more information, especially on the surgical side of things, and even just the abuse he went through. I'm glad he has documented with me, like, no essaying, thankfully, but definitely the physical abuse, and
could have been trying to sell his organs.
His bones were broken, like a lot of that.
Yeah, poor kid. Tracy says, have you tried to connect with the grandfather, or is he down under his death? Good
question. I have not tried to channel him. I do know that anyone that was involved in the abuse of him is not in the good place. So grandfather's probably down below. Mother's probably totally lost somewhere else. She had no interest in coming through. Also, somebody... I'm having a hesitant time. Like, for me, I go in with the mindset of, like, how the hell could you do that to your child? You know what I'm saying? So that kind of energy she'll probably stand off from, because I tend to go in a little bit, like, pissed off. So I have to come in with, like, a non-biased view, and it's difficult being somebody who also had a child at a young age.
So Hope, basically, like, when a child is about to pass away, like moments before,
thank you,
there's like this special guardian angel, like Liz said, that will come in and shield them from any pain that they may be feeling, because they will not feel it. And then they'll go like on a happy place, and then the angel basically stays with them until they feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So it could be a long time before they want to let go of that angel, and especially since he doesn't have anybody, like, he has family, but the one person he wants, which is his mother, to acknowledge him and everything, he's going to be feeling pretty sad and probably sticking with that angel until she's ready to stand up for her shame and just admit it to him and move on.
I had a woman come to me like a couple of years ago. She lost her toddler to an accident, a physical accident. I think it was something with stairs. I'm not exactly sure. But she was so scared because there was only one relative that she remembered and knew that was an abusive person, and she was so scared that that child would end up with him. And I was like, no, that's not there. But then I also reminded her, like, hey, there's this grandmother and this grandmother too that's up there with you, you know, your family and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, she was afraid that this man who SA'd her was going to hurt her baby in some way. And I was like, no, dude's like down there. And they do not... If a child doesn't have a space to go to, they do not leave that child, period. Unless the kid is like older and they want to go off. Like if it's like a 20-something-year-old, that's a different story. But if it's like a kid, no, they have their guardian angels with them at all times until they're ready to go to whomever on the other side.
Yeah, and it's basically like the kind of that same question there, Hope, that you just sent there. So in the time while he was passing away, the couple of days it took for him to pass away, anybody, not just him, but anybody, we all have guardian angels. They will sit there and comfort us as much as they can while, you know, unfortunately he was going through the malnourishment, the starving and everything until he passed.
Absolutely.
We
they
all
step
have.
in.
Yep,
they step in before the death occurs.
Mm-hmm. Obviously they can't do much besides just give you enough, you know, pain relieving as they can. It
is a comfort, Tracy. It is. Like, I have had so many friends that have lost children, and you're not the same after you lose a child. That it's just plain and simple. And it is a comfort to know that your children will have so much over there. And like, we're kind of like, we're part of the experiment. You know, we're part of the crazy stuff. The kids up there, everyone's happy. Even in the transitional period, there's no like stuck feeling. It's just they're closer to us than they are to up there. That's all. hey, can you tell me why you don't do the Idaho
Why you
4?
don't.
So I've done it already, and I just don't have anything else to add to it, so I'm not really sure what else I can add to it. That's all. It's a difficult one to do. If you go in, I enjoy, ironically enough, doing like massacre type of readings, because you go in through different people's perspectives and you get a little bit of the story from each person. But this particular one is a difficult one to do. There is a lot of brutality that's kind of close to home to a degree for me anyway, and it's very triggersome. I do believe he did it, so
Yeah, like
there's really not much more I can do.
So Dana says, I wonder if Joey was in a rural area because no one saw these children.
Yes, definitely rural. I'm seeing a farm setting. I believe they were physically in a barn where there were horses and goats. Like they slept in the same area where there was a full-blown barn. So yes, definitely farm.
Single Fury, absolutely. Spirits some are way louder than others. Like this little boy, he's very quiet. He doesn't really want to speak. Ryan Larson was another spirit that was very, very quiet. Took a very long time to get, information out of him.
Mm-hmm, but
Harmony Montgomery, chatterbox.
But with Ryan Larson, I've had conversation with his mom directly as well, and she felt him through me. His sister felt him through me, so that was also a really good spirit to connect with. I feel so bad for him
That
too.
is a good question, Hope. Hope
Yes.
says, could they have possibly been
Hey, Josh.
Amish?
I am not so.
Because Amish do that.
Yeah,
They do the
I
farming
don't feel that they were Amish. I feel that they were more like white, trashy kind of energy. Lazy man, lazy woman, spitting out kids. No, not even spitting their own kids out, taking kids in left, right, and center, regardless of their race or anything, and just basically having hand on their farm.
Cindy, yes, she has connected with Kairen Horman, which
Yes.
is another case that she is very iffy on wanting to touch again for various reasons.
Yeah, with Kairen Horman, I am going to be covering his case here very soon again. It's part 2, revamping, if you will. I was actually going to be covering this in March, and then I stopped because he told me something that I couldn't handle. So I stopped touching that case. And it was about the stepmom. Stepmom herself, narcissist to the highest degree. Has her friends, has herself, comes fake profiling, says all this stuff about how she's a wonderful person, an amazing person, and like she can't handle people talking about her, even though she was directly involved in it. But yeah, Ryan gave me some more information about the abuse he went through with her.
This is the one with the stepmother.
Yep, Kairen Horman.
And Krista, no, this boy in the box is America's oldest unsolved case. There is no documentary about it, but I'm sure, like somebody has mentioned,
I'm sure there will be a documentary. In fact, I'm almost certain of it.
Now.
There's going to be something big that will come out about it in a bigger way.
Somebody said, I don't know if they're
but
asking
just
you
an FYI, I did want to let you guys know a couple of things before we go. So I do have the 5-question text reading still up. You can book between now and next Sunday, and then it's gone for the rest of the month, maybe even longer. So if you want to grab that while you can, go for it.
Perry, I am not from Canada. I wish. I am actually from the United States.
And then I am going to be doing a sub chat live. I don't know what day. I'm thinking Tuesday. We'll see how I feel. I was sick last week, couldn't do it. So I'm hoping to get there this time. I am going to be dropping, a lot of you guys have been asking for an updated video on YouTube for the orange guy.
I know. It's sad. I know. It's so sad.
The orange guy, you know who I'm referring to. So I am having that video come out on YouTube and the Titan video coming out on YouTube this week. The orange one will be exclusive only, FYI. but it'll be coming out before the birthday celebration, whatever that is. And then I will be doing the Titan video, like I said. So I'm excited about that one too. The documentary comes out on Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm not sure what day, but I am so excited to watch it.
Christy says, can I ask your advice on visiting the Annabelle doll, like do's and don'ts?
Oh, good question. Do's and don'ts of visiting Annabelle. It depends where you're at. So if you're someone who's like really, really afraid of like having these dreams and, you know, her channeling your energy, coming home, you know, bringing that energy home, like maybe don't go see her. But if you're okay with having Annabelle dreams, then go for it. People say don't look at her straight in the eyes. I don't know. I don't think that's a bad thing. She might talk to you. She might ask for your help. She might try to manipulate you. Just be cautious of that.
U.S. Kit in Creations. Yeah, Liz frequently does mythological creatures and, you know, different things like gods and all that stuff over on our YouTube. So go follow us on our YouTube because that's where she could do long.
Wear
videos.
protection. Get yourself an evil eye. Bring some stones along. That's awesome about Gettysburg. Woohoo! Yeah.
Ooh, Gettysburg. That's where I was saying that's the biggest cemetery out there. So her being out there, that's a lot of souls.
I don't see that any of his siblings are with him. No. So from what I see, he did not have any siblings around the time he was born. So there's no attachment to him, and he was removed from the home before any other children were made. Wait, evil eye and stones or you can do, but I like to I'm a double protection girl. I'll bring stones, I'll bring a mantra, and I'll bring some stones and the evil eye and all that just in case. But yeah.
Yes, Greek mythology and or gods. That's where I was going with
that.
Yes,
to see Annabelle.
She'll be doing more of those videos, but they're going to be dropped over on the YouTube. So just keep checking, put on that subscribe button, and she'll be dropping them. She likes to sprinkle that stuff in between. Those are the other things that
I'm going to be making a video about the strawberry moon. So this week is very important. We got Friday the 13th. Strawberry moon, Father's Day, and also the veil is very, very, very thin at the moment.
Somebody's birthday.
Right, exactly. Including my daughter's birthday, which she shares with him.
Tracy, you should go. You just became a subscriber over on our YouTube. Go take a look at that video.
But anyways, I'm going to be putting up, people look at spells as something scary. This is more of like prayers. So basically, like when the veil is very, very thin, we can ask our ancestors, our spirits, our energy to protect us. And also make sure that we are safe and protected through this time.
No, not anybody good's birthday.
Well, my daughter's birthday.
That's a lie, yeah. Our daughter's birthday, but we're not talking about her birthday.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm going to be posting that video tonight too. So keep an eye on that. It's like, if we do it all at the same time, like around the same time, around the same day, putting out that energy into the world so that we can be safe and karma is rid of the bad negative energy, we can do something special. So
yeah, you and Josh, Miss DIY, you and my brother share the same birthday.
That's right. Miss DIY and Josh birthday too. I forgot that.
The same day.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate it. I'll let you guys know the next case we're covering.
No, you're good, Hope.
We'll be back in 2 weeks for that. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Next week, we're going to see a lot of like veil related things because this week the veil is very low. So if you want a mediumship reading with me, this is the week to do it. Those spirits are closer. They're even closer now than they are at Christmas time. So Halloween and June, very thin veil. They come through very, very strong. All right, guys. I hope you have a great night. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.